can try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Eric Wilson. And today, we've got a bit of Rangers news to cover, and then we want to discuss an upcoming free agent that we want to see the Rangers re-sign. But first of all, the news. The Rangers did extend Sammy Blais yesterday, a day before his birthday. Tomorrow is going to be his birthday, apparently. But they did extend Sammy Blais coming off of that torn ACL. A solid player for the Rangers, another winger for the team, and he's coming off of that torn ACL. He only played in 14 games last year, but it was a cheap contract. According to Cap Friendly, both sides agreed to a one-year extension at $1.525 million for the 2022 to 23 season, and it is a one-way contract, which means Blais would earn the same salary in the AHL, and he must clear waivers. But again, very cheap move here, solid move by the Rangers. Eric, I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on the extension of Sammy Blais?
I think it's a perfect signing. Sammy Blais is a great fourth liner. He didn't play that many games with us last season before getting injured, but the games that he did play, he looked very productive. He's great defensively. Brings a lot of physicality to the team, which is one of our biggest downfalls from 2 seasons ago that he really helped with this season. 1.525, that's the perfect number for me. A fourth liner like Sammy Blais, you don't want to be spending more than that at all. He's not much of a point scorer. He only got 4 assists in his games that he played with us, but he brings a lot to the team. I think he's definitely going to be a consistent player on our lineup next season. He's been recovering really well from the torn ACL. He was practicing throughout the series we had against Tampa this year and probably would have been ready to go in the finals had we made it. So I definitely expect him to be strong and healthy coming into next season. And I'm really excited to see him play for us once more.
Yeah, for sure. And as you mentioned, 4 assists. He had 4 total points in those 14 games before the torn ACL, which he suffered against the New Jersey Devils. 26 years old again tomorrow, and he was acquired last June in a trade. Rangers clearly like what they got from him in those 14 games, and they want to see if there's a little more potential that they can develop for another year, and I'm all for it. I like this signing. I think, it's cheap, and it's really what you should be paying for a fourth liner, and I think Sammy Blais fits in really well with the Rangers. But the next meatier topic of discussion that we have on the table today is going to be Frank Vatrano and why we feel the Rangers need to re-sign him, because Frank Vatrano, I think, is a really great player. He plays on the same line with Mika Zibanejad, and he has great chemistry with him. And I think that this is a player that the Rangers need to re-sign. However, kind of discussing the Sammy Blais signing, that leaves the Rangers now with $11.93 million in cap space after that signing. So the Rangers are really strapped for cash here. They don't have a lot of money to spend, even though Frank Vatrano is a really good player and he's one of the best players that's going to be a free agent for the Rangers. They might have a really difficult time finding the cap space to sign him to an extension. So, Eric, really just introducing your thoughts on Frank Vatrano, and knowing that the Rangers have less than $12 million in cap space to spend, do you feel like he's worth the money?
Frank Vatrano is obviously a player that I love a lot ever since we got him at the trade deadline this year. He's been extremely productive playing on that first line with Zibanejad and Kreider. He was one of our better players throughout our deep playoff run that we had this year as well. And I think if we can find the money, signing him would be perfect. I wouldn't want to spend more than 3.5 million on him, because we do have a couple of other players that we need to sign in order to keep our team contenders and stay strong with the same lineup that we had this year. But yeah, he's a great player. He's very shoot first mentality, which is really what we need. As we've been saying throughout the playoffs that just ended, for us at least, one of our biggest issues was the fact that we weren't getting pucks on net. We weren't shooting enough. We just kept trying to make passes, and that's not the type of player that Vatrano is. If he gets the puck, chances are that he is going to try to shoot it and score. He scored the last goal of the Rangers season this year, and I think that's the perfect way to end my thoughts.
Yeah, and kind of speaking to the contract thoughts that you had there, 3 to 3.5 million. I've seen that as a projected deal for him, but I've also seen potentially there is a deal projection of 4 years, 3.9 million per year. Now, is that pushing it for you, Eric? Would you be okay with 3.9 million per year for Frank Vatrano?
I would be okay with spending that, but you'd also have to come to terms with the fact that one of our other free agents that we have wouldn't be coming back to the team. So it also really comes down to how much we spend on Strom or Kopp or any other second line center that we get. I think that's our biggest priority for us. But as long as we get that settled and squared away without overspending too much, 3.9 million, it wouldn't be the best, but I wouldn't be too disappointed with it.
Yeah, signing Vatrano at 3.9 million could mean no Capo Caco. It could mean no Ryan Strome or Andrew Kopp. It really depends, but I guess it's really just what do you prioritize there? Do you want your first line Frank Vatrano, who plays with Zibanejad and Kreider? And I think personally that should be the mission for the Rangers. They just made it all the way deep into the Eastern Conference Finals to a Game 6. I want to keep the best players on this team and make sure that we build with them for another year or so, while these young guys continue to develop and hopefully make a push for that Stanley Cup. But some more tidbits on Frank Vatrano, of course. He was acquired at the 2022 trade deadline, as Eric mentioned. He was formerly with the Florida Panthers. He totaled 13 points, including 8 goals in 22 regular season games with the Rangers. But he also added 13 points in 20 postseason contests, 5 total goals there. So he was definitely one of the best performers in the postseason for the Rangers. Eric, what are your thoughts on the way that Frank Vatrano elevated his game during the postseason?
Like I said before, he has that shoot first mentality. Playing on a first line with Kreider and Zibanejad definitely helped that. They had great chemistry right away. He definitely fits in on this team really well. Earlier throughout the season, when he spent most of it with the Florida Panthers, they won the President's Trophy. They have a lot of offensive power on that team. So he was kind of on like the lower lines there, didn't really have a chance to be a superstar like he did on the Rangers. He came to us and he was instantly elevated to a first line player. And it really helped him show what type of player that he is, that he can shoot the puck, that he can score goals. And I think going into the playoffs is right when he got fully comfortable with the Rangers, and you saw a lot of great production with it. And I would really like him to stay on this team, and we know that he wants to stay on the team too.
Yeah, we do know that he wants to stay on the team. We've got a great quote from him that I'll read. Quote, "I think I have some unfinished business here. I want to help this team win a Stanley Cup." End quote. So his plan is to re-sign if he gets the right contract offer. He wants to stay here. He just got really close to the Stanley Cup with the Rangers, made it all the way to the ECF. He's hoping to re-sign and push them to the Stanley Cup, which we're all hoping for. But Eric, so we're taking a look at some of the unrestricted free agents that are impending for the Rangers this offseason. We're going to continue to look at them throughout the course of the next several weeks here on Fireside Rangers, so make sure you sub. But taking a look at Frank Vatrano, we really like him and want him re-signed. But do you prefer to re-sign him as opposed to Andrew Kopp? Who do you prioritize there?
See, that's a tough decision to make because they're two vastly different players. You got Vatrano, more of a goal scorer on the wing, and then Andrew Kopp, more of just like a sturdy point scoring center. It really just boils down to what else the Rangers do throughout the off season and what do they need. If we can find a trade or make cap space to acquire a different, cheaper second line center, then definitely prioritize Vatrano being re-signed. However, if we're going to decide that we can't do that, we don't want to test the market. I think a second line center is definitely our biggest issue that we have right now. We have pure goal scorers like Kreider, like Zibanejad. So I wouldn't say that Vatrano is that high up on like the ranking of what we need to get done. But as long as we can get that second line center locked away, then he should definitely be the first free agent that we have that we should go towards signing.
Completely agree. And should I even ask you Vatrano or Strome, or is that just kind of like
you don't need to
question?
ask me that? Vatrano all the way.
Yeah. We know that Strome is your least favorite player, but I want to also kind of ask you the same question, Vatrano or Capo Caco. We just discussed him a couple episodes ago, and we were talking about his contract projections, which are somewhere from like 2 million, but they can get inflated over 4 million, depending if a team comes in with an offer sheet. Who are you prioritizing there, Capo Caco or Frank Vatrano?
If Capo Caco can stay with his contract range, like in like the 2.5 million, then I would say sign him. Even if he does stay at that range, I'm sure that we would be able to sign both somehow. However, if Capo Caco does get inflated to like a $4 or $5 million contract, that's more than 2 years, I would say definitely prioritize Vatrano. Hopefully, we would be able to get something in return for Caco as well as keeping Vatrano. But yeah, it really just boils down to how much they're each going to cost.
Yeah, certainly. And especially considering that now the Rangers are sitting with under $12 million in cap space to spend. So money's tight right now for the New York Rangers. Of course, it usually is for the most talented teams, and the Rangers definitely have one of the most talented teams, but they've definitely got some positions that they need to address, including a backup goalkeeper, which is something that we're going to be discussing in an upcoming episode of Fireside Rangers. So make sure that you subscribe and tune in to all the episodes that we're pumping out pretty much daily here, talking about our beloved New York Rangers. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Let us know down below in the comment section what you think of Frank Vatrano. Is this somebody that the Rangers need to re-sign, or should they be spending their money elsewhere? Like I said, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss a video, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.
He shoots. He scores!